Your discussion or action request for consideration of hotel tax. So,
right. We were here last meeting. We talked to you. Good evening, Commissioner. We would still like to be considered for the hotel motel tax, and I'm not sure of the protocol and the procedures, how you make those decisions, and we leave that into your hands. We are a group of hardworking volunteers who have dug in and really tried to make what we're doing successful, and we feel really good about what we are doing and have done. So we would like to be considered to have some assistance in funding so that we can continue to. I agree that our self-proclaimed title of a small business incubator, but that's what we are and that is what we do. So we would like to be considered for the hotel motel tax. Do you have any questions that you would like to?
Sure, go ahead.
I'm glad you're here, Jen. And I did encourage you to pursue the hotel motel tax funding. We've provided funding to both the Pocahontas County Arts Council and their Mission for Education. And we provide funding for them for as long as I can remember. And then there's the Pocahontas County Artisans Co-op, Brandon. And you have never received, your group has never received hotel motel tax funding.
Correct.
And I thought it was at least a fair question. Why are we paying one arts group hotel motel tax funding? And what's the reason we're not paying the other? And it may simply be because one asked and the other didn't until now.
Correct.
So I know when you presented to us at the last meeting, Mr. Irvin expressed some hopes that the two groups could work together to find a way to unify on some common goals. I understand that this weekend there will be an art showing at Linwood Library with artists from both groups. I want to say thank you for that. I think that's a very good step of collaboration.
We're also researching another show that may be able to incorporate both groups next month.
I don't know what we're going to be able to do for hotel motel tax funding tonight. If we just look at that alone, we're talking about cutting somebody to give, as Dawn indicated earlier, cutting to give somebody. I hope as we talk about, I guess the other items on the agenda that are related to the hotel motel tax too, maybe we'll hear from those groups first before we make decisions. But I hope we can come up with some creative ways to support all of these groups. And I don't know that we can do it. We're looking at declining hotel motel tax revenues. It's trending already for this first month of revenue on that. There's nobody here to punish in any way. But I don't know what we're going to do. I appreciate your request very much. I think it takes a lot of courage, as Preserving Pocahontas has done too, to come and say, we feel at this stage in our development as an organization that we should be considered for a cut of the hotel motel tax funding. And I applaud your courage for being here to ask for money. And I applaud your working together on this art show. I think that's wonderful. That's my thoughts at this stage.
It would make our job a whole lot easier if the two art groups could get together and come up with a solution where we could divide the portion that's been appropriated. And it would make it a lot easier for us. Of course, that's probably not a workable solution, but it would make our job a whole lot easier if it was. Because we only have so much money, in my opinion, that we put in art. And, it's difficult to decide what goes.
Thank you.
Pocahontas County Historical Landmarks discussion or action.
I'm not,
consideration of hotel motel.
I'm not sure that there's anyone here. Jim Strickle was here the last meeting and gave us a presentation. He came back with financials and asked me to put it on the agenda so that you could look at his financials when you consider hotel motel tax. So I gave everybody a copy of it.
Maybe I should, for the benefit of those that maybe haven't seen the way that the hotel motel tax 50% of it's divided up. Park and Rec is 32, Art Council 6, Landmark Commission 6, Drama Fairs and Festival 22, and the library is 34. But that's the way the hotel motel tax is divvied out. I think that's based on 100% or 50%.
That's correct.
I think I messed that up a couple of years ago when I thought that's the way it should be expressed.
Anyway,
Well, no, it actually works.
it's
They
probably
90%
one
of
half
it
of the
out.
total. In other words, well, Pocahontas County is going to collect roughly $1 million or somewhere between $1 million and $1.150 hotel motel tax, and really they're only getting half of that, which is the free library would only be getting 17% of the total $1,100,000 if we collect that much. It's not determined yet, but anyway, that's the way it's done for the benefit of those who haven't seen how it's divvied out. But, and like I say, if we increase one group's amount, we have to subtract it off somewhere else. And, of course, hotel motel taxes have gone down some anyway for the last couple of years, and makes it real difficult for everybody. The Landmark Commission, of course, they are on here, and Mr. Griswold was here at the last meeting, January the 3rd, and he presented his information along with the budget, so we got all that information.
Right.
So what about actually?
Now, what's that?
I said, what amount are they counting?
Historic landmarks?
Yeah. I mean, was there a goal or?
6%
It's a 6%.
They're requesting no change?
Right. 6%. Pocahontas County Parks and Rec, discussion or action request for consideration.
Yeah, well, Dolan, I'm here as president of the Parks and Recreation Commission. Roger Trussler is here with us as our secretary, and Lauren,
She's out here.
hopefully still out there. Come on in, Lauren.
I think she ran screen.
I think you have before you a letter that I sent to you to explain that
Thank
goings on with Parks and Rec, and certainly you're aware of the newest construction project that we have here, which is the Pocahontas County Community Wellness Center. Construction is under roof. The inside is almost complete. Structurally is almost complete. They're going to start on drywall in probably a couple weeks, if not sooner. But due to that, in 2009, the county commission decreased the amount of hotel motel tax to Parks and Rec from 18% to 16%. And with the advent of the new Community and Wellness Center, right now the Parks and Recreation Board is doing everything that we do within the county with basically one employee. We have a second employee that does our maintenance work for us in all the parks. We would like to now request, with the addition of the Wellness Center, that be increased back to its original 18%.
Or 36% in the other county.
That's right. Yeah, 18% of the 50% that's of that 100%.
100% of the 100%.
Right.
Cut your 2%.
Or
You know where it went
36%
to.
of the.
Yes.
If I may, I'll speak
Sure.
to that. That was one of the very first decisions I made as commissioner, and we talked about extensively, and how that discussion went about was we decided as a majority that I don't remember how the vote goes. That's not as important. But we did decide to take the Parks and Rec funding from 18% down to 16%.
That's correct.
Using the terms of that date, of that era. And we gave that 2% to the library board. And there was, at least on my part, an expression as recently as last year when we were talking about this, as we received an update from Lauren on the Wellness Center, that we expected the Wellness Center would be coming online in the next year, and that I hope we could find a way to restore that funding. So my thoughts are still along those lines. I hope we can put that funding back to original levels to give the Martinson Wellness Center a good starting base. I don't want to take away 2% from somebody else, though, because the libraries have done wonderful work in absorbing the Linwood Community Library into their budget. And in helping with that, we decided to give a $10,000 contribution, I believe, to your budget, a one-time contribution to help with that effort, because it wasn't in your budget originally, to assume the costs, the expenses of Linwood Library.
Adding the fifth breach.
And then we also talked about the possibility, but we haven't taken action on this part yet, I think, of increasing the library's line item budget that has been $20,000 for some time. That's in addition to hotel motel tax revenues. We talked about increasing it another, I'm going to throw out a number, 5,000, I think, to 25,000. But we understood that. So did we? Was that? Okay, that's still to be considered. So there's multiple things going around here from my experience with this discussion back in 2009 up to the present day, being that we're talking about trying to discuss an increase in the line item budget for the libraries. So that budget is an option that we have money for it. And also in front of us we have Reserving Pocahontas asking for an increase to their line item budget. And we did give them a line item budget of $10,000. Right, Steve?
That's correct.
So I think I don't mean to take a lot of time here, but my hope is that we can talk about what monies we have. Maybe we can establish offset some of this in line items by raising some line items. Maybe not have to tinker too much with hotel motel tax. So a question central to that, and I'll stop my comment at this point, is how many dollars per percentage point do we have? So if we're talking about raising you 2%, how many dollars is that going to translate to?
Well, if I may, we're not asking you to raise us 2%. We're asking you to restore us back to the 2% that we had all along.
My apologies.
Based on the last 2 years, 1% equals about $7,800.
That was my computation earlier today as well. I just wanted to hear the seconds on that. So we're talking about $7,800 for a percentage point. So I don't want us to be too stuck on just hotel motel tax percentages if we don't have to be stuck on that.
Well, essentially what we're looking at for our goal, our hope with the increase is another employee or a couple part-time employees. So, if there's a way that even that could be put into a line item budget with the county commission, that might be an option too.
Yeah, right now, understand the Parks and Rec budget is solely funded by hotel motel tax. We have no other line item budgets.
Could we argue that the legislation's intent regarding hotel motel tax was for recreation? I mean, that's the word, recreation. Yes. So it could be argued, and has been argued by other commissioners in the past, that libraries kind of maybe aren't recreation or something.
No.
They brought that in front of the legislature a number of times, and they have finally said we will not bring this stuff again.
Very good. I would be remiss to sort of bring it up again.
Yeah, they don't want to address it because they think the law doesn't, include libraries. And I've done some research, and there are a number of counties in West Virginia that actually fund their libraries totally through a levy. And I see that Greenbrier County now is doing a levy for their fire protection. And I'd just like to throw out there that at some point, maybe the commission should think about the possibility of community meetings to talk to the public about floating levies for fire protection and libraries, because those are two things that communities really never have a problem wanting to help pay for. Just a thought. Roane County, I think, I know that Roane County and McDowell County, I think, they fund their libraries with levies.
I know I said I'd shut up after I took that question, but Mike said something which made me think that I think what I've been trending to in my decisions, my votes on these matters is getting Parks and Rec back to the pure notion, interpretation of recreation, hotel motel tax. and getting preserving Pocahontas libraries funded more through line items.
Any other comments on Park and Rec?
Well, I just feel from a general balance line, at the end of the day, it would be better to keep each individual entity in either hotel motel tax or as a line item rather than trying to split them and divide line items for everybody and hotel motel tax for everybody. Just,
That's good. We'll probably do that.
Well, the bad part is you don't know how much money you're going to have for a line item.
Well,
yeah, of course, you're not sure exactly what you're going to have for hotel motel tax either.
but the problem I see here, if you continuously cut and add, you're basically putting a chokehold on everybody at that point, and nobody's able to successfully do what they need to do. You know, it puts everybody under more stress. You're looking for more money different places. Or if you could come in and say, well, we're going to give you 40%, and you know that's going to keep you going, you don't have to worry about looking anywhere else, and you can continue on. That's just kind of
We would be very happy with 40%.
I mean, you kind of got to decide what is most important to the county to least important to the county. You know, I mean, they're all important and they all got good items. That's right.
You got an extremely
You have to put a
large
score
number
on
of
them somewhere.
groups. Yeah. And we don't want to be in competition with the other groups. We would like to let the commission know what we do and what we accomplish and how we do that as representatives of the county. And I'm simply asking for restoration of 2%. Restoration. Or 40.
There's no other discussion. We'll move on. We're going to try to divvy this out at the end. Sort of thing, if you want to pay whatever.
Thanks.
And we'll move on to the next request for the County Arts Council discussion and/or action request for consideration of hotel motel tax. So, you're on Art Council.
We came early before you got here, and we tried to forward the information to you.
Well, I was here at about 4:30 today.
No, I mean, we were here in December.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, you were here.
The only thing I can say is that you didn't get page 2 of one of the items. Okay.
We'll try to do better on the agenda.
Yeah, I know. We understand. There's no way that I could compete with all the other activities going on. But the purpose of the Pocahontas County Art Council, as I've been associated with for about 12, 13 years, and Eric is an old man at this thing since about 1985, 78, and so forth. The purpose that we're trying to do is to fill in the community, especially in the area of education and the arts. And if we weren't doing what we have done the past years that I've been involved in, there would hardly be anything except maybe a few teachers in Pocahontas County in the public schools that's doing anything. But we give grants specifically to each particular public school. We do workshops in each one of the public schools, and the people that do that basically donate their time and efforts. I have taught, has taught in Hillsborough Elementary after school, and did workshops and so forth for them. So that, if you think of the Art Council, that's our main purpose in the general sense, is the education and trying to encourage the arts. And then in workshop areas, we do that same thing. I did like 11 workshops at the senior center, first myself, and two other ones did almost the same thing over the years, in the past 2 years. So the point is that we do raise, in addition to the $23,000 that you gave us as your as the 3% type of thing, then what we can use that also to get grants. And most of the time our grants are almost matching. But the grants this year were about $15,000. So the grants basically give us the opportunity to expand what we're doing, either for supplies, art supplies, or materials and so forth, and then the teaching of those particular activities. The activities are just ongoing. We have, in the Art Council themselves, we have 3 people that are almost given full time and not getting any salary. We don't have any full-time employees. They're donating their time and their efforts to such things as workshops and classroom teaching and so forth. The only time they would get anything is probably for mileage, especially if we're going to public school and teaching this particular class. That's what I did when I did my teaching, is either donating my time and materials and or getting the materials so I could teach the class. So that's where this money goes. And of course we have a breakdown on all those details. So we acquired by donation the Durbin Arts Center as a building. And this was in the era of the increase in monies that we received from the hotel motel tax. As we anticipated, our income was going to be about $28,000, and each year it dwindles. Each year we drop it down, and now it's about 23. So there's losing $7,000, which was basically the intended increase of what we're trying to do. But we have that building, and now the problem is being able to manage that building and operate it. We can not have it as a deficit because we do get monies as income from apartments. So and the electric for that apartment and the water and so forth are paid, so it's not a liability to us. But if we did have an increase in our income, then we could attempt to supply the facility in such a fashion that we can have an art center, literally, and we could have people do workshops, and we could get supplies, and then we could also have it open, especially during the train season. And that's what we were working for. But as we saw our income dwindle, then we couldn't hire anyone, and since we don't hire anyone anyway, that's where our problem is in having that center. So we have a building there that's available for the arts of Oakland County. If there's a way that we can get, you call it a line item, a request for that. Now we didn't attempt to do that as part of the hotel tax. We're looking to do that from the standpoint of grants, and we tried a couple of grants, we couldn't get that, and with the state and so forth. But that still is an open possibility for us. But that's basically what we're trying to describe here. The operation of our particular program, just to cover quickly, we have the Green Bank Arts Center. We have workshops there. We have many times daily workshops there because that's part of the operation of that particular section. We do have the Little Yellow House that is specific to pottery, and there's ongoing classes 2 and 3 days a week, and all the monies from those taxes come in to help pay for the operation of that particular place. So the person there that does those workshops basically doesn't get paid other than to be able to use the building as part of our operation. Then we have a print shop, which we don't charge anything for the rent, but we do copy artwork for artists to be able for them to be able to sell it at a reduced price. If you have a picture of your artwork, you can sell that for about 1/10 of what an original would be worth, and still have the original to where you could continue to sell copies of it. So we have about 12 artists that have done that with us, are doing that with us. So that's one thing that we've had as part of our particular activity. Then of course we have the Durbin Art Center, as I mentioned, and we have workshops for adults, emerging artists, and then of course the future will be whatever we can accomplish with grants and so forth. This is just one example of workshops that we did, and I didn't include that in your packet. You might have seen this around. It's vacation things. The more we advertise, the more we have gotten people that have literally come and stayed here to take workshops and take classes, and this is how we got a number of new people who come to our particular activities. We got this particular paid through the church group, they said they helped us for the cost of this particular advertising. So this gives you a number of ideas of what we've been doing, and that's why we're still requesting a minimum of what we already have in activity. If we don't have the money, sort of, and I say it this way, if the economy keeps falling off, then we can obviously just do less. And it's hard for me to estimate how much donated time is given every particular week, but I would say we've probably got 60 to 80 hours of our efforts that are just donated every week. No one gets paid for those. The biggest thing that I found in personally trying to do these things is the cost of the supplies to be able to teach the classes.
I spoke to that before. When,
yes. In mentoring high school students, to generate that program, I personally went to South Carolina because I was traveling back and forth, bought $385 worth of materials, and most of that was given to the students when they graduated from that particular section and so forth. So I know if you're an artist, these folks are artists back here. You're basically giving your life for free in most of the activities because it's very difficult in Oakland County to be able to see your art, to sell your art materials, and to make a life living on them. Same pictures that I've sold in Pocahontas County, I could sell in Greenville, South Carolina for twice as much. Nothing to take away from it, but your supply and demand is the big type of thing. So it's difficult to do the advertising. We're looking to do this. I have contacts in Greenville, South Carolina, that I could take art materials from West Virginia's artisans and take it to Greenville County. And I have two places specifically. One will not even charge me to sell the materials in their store and operation. And so, this might be a way that we can enhance the opportunity of the artists to be able to sell their materials to continue their artistic endeavor. Those are hard things to do. The other thing that I would like to do is kind of like the Appalachian artists in what's the town I can't remember. I have a mental block of the town that is Clifton Forge. That's it. I don't know why. There's some things you can't remember how to pronounce, like linoleum, and aluminum. My wife has aluminum problems, so I can't remember Clifton Forge. But I've talked to those folks down there, and they are looking to move into other parts with their artists to be able to sell their art materials. And this is the constant thing that we need. We need that in Pocahontas County. We need the artists to be able to get together to see if they can't do it. If the artwork has to be judged, this is our problem when we have art shows. The person that has not been skilled in teaching the techniques of art, and they compare it to the skilled artist, they feel like, well, I'm not going to put my artwork in there. I never would win a prize, so why should I bother with that? And so we've tried to have art shows in that fashion. Just 3 years ago, when we had more monies, we had 7 art shows in Pocahontas County, and the Art Council sponsored each one of those particular shows. So this is the more money we have, the more we can do. And it's because the people donate their time and effort to do it. So I encourage you to, you don't have any contact with public school either. You can't go to them and tell them, come on, give us some money like you should, as other states and other counties do, for the arts and music and so forth in the county. And we're sadly missing that in Pocahontas County. So we would do more in public school, give us the way you can just afford to get there and get that going. And our problem with Durban, as you can imagine, is that it's about a 100-mile round trip for me to drive up there and manage the building and so forth. It's just, you can't do that many times a month.
And I know initially when you acquired the Durban building that you had someone in mind who was going to be able to run that.
Someone's going to do it.
Fell through.
They had health issues. They still have health issues. And that was the other
So that's a major setback.
So if anyone knows of anyone that would be glad to work up there, at least do maintain the artwork in the summertime and so forth, we instantly have another office in the area. I know there's a store next door that has artwork. A number of people have their art materials in there. So we don't want to compete with that. But we'd like to have workshops for the children in that area of the country, because we have a lot of workshops going on in Green Bank and in Hillsborough and here locally. So, but you could imagine to have everyone in the elementary school here in Pocahontas County, in Marlington, to do a clay activity. That 600 of these things have to be fired. Somebody has to stand and do it. Somebody got to pay for the electric to do it. We have that in Greenback. See, they let us in the building that now they're making a health center type of thing. They gave us permission, and for a few years we had that. Now we don't have that any longer. So it's incumbent upon us, if we're going to do any pottery work in Greenback, we're going to have to do it ourselves, or have to figure out another way. So those are the weaknesses in what we're trying to do, is somehow to try to figure out how to do all these activities and get the support. So, we're open to any way that we can do it. And if you got any suggestions, feel free to call me. We'd be glad to help. Okay? Any questions you have?
None of the people in the Artisans Co-op works with the Art Council, is that correct?
No, we have 10 board members, and they don't work with us. We've had some come into the meetings that we have, but as you can tell, our activities so far are so specified. There's nothing else we can do. Now, when the art co-op started, we gave them monthly support for about 2 years because there was another activity that was the way they could do it. And so this is where when we start running short on money, we either cut off some of the activities we have that cost money. It's like we used to give support to students for scholarships. And a number of the students, when they went to doing, as they graduated, in trying to go to college, universities, in art and so forth, we gave them scholarships to go to classes. We have one fellow, not a great amount of money, but he went to Milan, Italy. The boy here in town that went to glass blowing up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and a $300 or $400 or $600 scholarship was very helpful. But there's no way we do that anymore. The scholarships that we used to give, we just can't afford to do it. And if you want to, I'd be glad to sit down with you on our budget and see, so you can see why and how we're doing it. If we didn't have to pay so much on telephones, we could do a lot more. But there's no way that you can get out with your overhead expenses. And we have minimal our office spaces. Of course, my house and here with our treasurer, he does it in his house, and so forth. So those expenses are not part of the art council. But that's where our weaknesses, and all of us are feeling that economic push. So I just want to make sure I reiterate that with you, so you understand what we're trying to do. Okay? Thank you.
And to fully address your question, Mr. Irvin, putting forth about other members on both organizations, there is at least one. And full disclosure, that one is my girlfriend, John Baldwin Barrett. And I checked with the Ethics Commission to make sure that my entertaining these issues was appropriate, and received written word from Teresa Kirk that as long as she's not compensated, that it's entirely appropriate to participate. She is not compensated. None of the board.
Yeah, none of our no. Right.
So it does give me a unique perspective into what both organizations are doing, and it helps me understand how and why to support both. And I think you're doing wonderful things. Are you going to be exhibiting artwork at the art show this weekend?
Yes, sir. Yes, Eric has given me new calling cards.
Where's your funding cuts mainly come from?
What's that?
Where has your funding cuts mainly come from?
You said hotel motel tax.
Oh, you used to get a lot more.
We used to get a lot more, but economically everything's gone down.
Okay.
Did we ever change your percentage allocation, Mr. Krebs, since 2009? I can't remember.
No, nothing.
It was just Parks and Rec and Library. 2%.
Yeah, well, we got a percent then.
You did, but we didn't change it. Right.
Well, it hasn't changed since.
Since.
We get 3%, 6%, whatever we call it, and that is amount to. You can check your record for $23,280.
I'm sorry, I'm kind of confused. Is that the first year we gave that to you? The commission gave you hotel motel tax?
No. You've been dealing. How long, Eric? How long they've been doing this?
Since it started in '89.
89. So we've been doing this 89. I came on board as soon as I moved up here, and harass them until I got up in politics. So, can I be frank with my enthusiasm on art? We garnered people around us that were willing to work and do nothing. So that's what we did. But if you want to come and buy that picture, yeah, I'll have artwork there if you want to come. Not if you want to come, you need to come.
Yeah.
You need to come. Now, you county commissioners, come to the Green Bank Arts Center, the Little Yellow House, the Urban Arts Center. Come up there and discuss it with me and see if there's a way that you can figure out how we can get that going. And any of the other artists that want to be part of that, just tell me.
I know also, we'll go into this much more, but I know we discussed previously about the urban building and
Yes.
the ownership deed you have with that, and there's some issues in there for how you can actually
No,
utilize
yeah.
it.
We do more if we could. Not that
I
we
know we all
haven't
continue to hope that can be improved, but I don't know what.
tried. I think it can.
Of course, we have some other people that receive some money from the make tax. It's not on our list there. I don't know whether they see. Of course, the library board is one of those. We receive information on the budget prior to the meeting, which we appreciate, or I appreciate. I assume everybody else does. But if you have anything else that you'd be glad to listen.
Well, I know this is taking a little longer than you thought it was going to, so I won't say a whole lot. But first, I want to just thank the County Commission for the support that you do give the public libraries. Libraries are important in every community, and I don't think I really need to belabor that point. We're not asking for an increase this year. We're just asking for our percentage of the allocations to remain the same at all times. We're used a lot by everybody in the county. I think when you support the libraries, you reach everybody in the county, every age group, every economic status. We circulated over 41,000 items in 2012. I just did my statistics. So that's a lot. That's counting print items and audio books. We also circulate ebooks. You can check out ebooks on your Kindle or your Nook from the library, and we are second in our consortium, right behind Cabell County. So that's a lot. I mean, Cabell's got a lot of people, and we're number 2 in the number of ebooks and e-audiobooks that are circulated. So people are really using our services. Our meeting rooms are used all the time by a lot of people in this room, and we love it. We love having everybody there. It just brings that feeling of each library is a real community hub, and we love that. So really, unless you have any questions, that's really all I have to say.
Yes, I have a question. Internet access.
Yes.
I've been listening quite a bit on public radio lately, on the national level, about problems with the United States of America's internet availability, price, performance as compared to, say, any third world country, which is typically better than the United States of America. Part of that problem is because of some of the unexpected monopolization, despite the Telecommunications Act that was passed in the late 90s. And as a result, I know we've talked locally about internet issues in our county regarding competition with Frontier, trying to get other businesses in here to provide that coverage. But on the nationwide level, it's actually even worse from what I've been understanding. And it's becoming increasingly, not decreasingly, but increasingly cost prohibitive for people to get reliable performance internet access. It's becoming a situation where citizens around the country are having to say, well, I'd rather eat, so I can't afford internet. To me, it's like the highway system. If we had to pay an exorbitant toll at every stop sign, that would be a problem. So I think our country, at the risk of sort of getting off topic here, is responsible for improving that internet access. I think our county is responsible for improving it. Do you see an increase in the utilization of the library's internet access services for patrons?
Yes, I do. And I say that because for a while it dipped, and I didn't see quite as many people using the computers. But when economic times get hard, as we know they are, that's when public libraries get used more. Public libraries become more important because people can't afford internet access, or they don't buy as many books as they used to. They come to the library and borrow them. There's no theater here, so they come to the library to borrow movies. So yes, I would say definitely people. I think I have at McClintock probably about 700 people a month. Excuse me, come in and use our computers. We haven't been counting the number of wireless users yet, but the state's going to start requiring that we count how many wireless lists we give out, so that they can track that. It's a lot. It's a lot. And when we had the storm this past summer, the big derecho storm, when the power came back on, we had our internet access because it's not local. So the library was packed with people. We extended our hours. We stayed open on Saturday and Sunday, so people could come in and use the internet because we were the only folks who had internet access. Ours comes out exactly through the library commission.
This particular piece I listened to talked about how the expectation was that as technology became more prevalent and the e-books became more prevalent, the libraries would find a hard time nationwide finding a purpose, what to do.
Right.
But in this story, they said they found a purpose. It's providing internet access to people who can't afford it at home.
David, very quickly along those same lines, I've noticed when my husband and I volunteer at the library, there's a huge number of vacationers here, particularly people who utilize Sonic and the different parks, who come in and rely on our internet services.
Because first they panic because their phones don't work. And then they come to the library and say, oh my God, I can't pay my bills or whatever. And so we serve a lot of tourists, especially at the Linwood branch, obviously. We're at the base of Snowshoe. And we serve a lot of guests there and enjoy doing so.
Thank you. I apologize if I've dragged this too far off. I just wanted to see what the stats were on your usage.
Yeah.
Part of the service.
We would like a nice, dedicated two-one.
Is there anybody else that didn't get on the agenda?
I haven't spoken to you about this, but I'm Herman Barlow. I'm the president of the Fire Association, and I know the fire money comes out of the other part of the hotel motel tax, along with the EMS and the hospital, and we definitely can't do without that. But what I'm here, and I've spoke to David and Jamie before about this, is our emergency shelter. We have got to build some emergency shelters, and I think it falls back on the county commission to provide that. We sat in here after the derecho with you, David, and the First Lady, and discussed our problems that we had. You know, our volunteers were out during the derecho, during the winter storms, working our tails off, providing services to the community. You know, we were doing things that the fire departments normally don't do, but we were out there. But, you know, we've got to come up with something, whether it comes from the hotel motel tax or the line item or something to get some shelters going in this county, because that's going to be the norm as far as I'm concerned. As far as the weather, we're going to get this crazy weather. We should have snow, not rain right now. You know, something's wrong. But you know, we've got to, you know, you guys as our commissioners need to take the lead and get something going to get these shelters up and running, because you know, we had a power outage a couple of weeks ago. We had people from the Morrington community coming to the firehouse because it was cold. They needed heat. And you know, we do have it's not a shelter. And I want to get away from the fire department as being a shelter, because you know, I don't want to run over a kid taking an engine out. But you know, we've got that to keep in the back of our minds. Probably in the back of our minds needs to move to the front. You know, everybody needs money, but we've got to get these shelters up and running.
Do you have any suggestions for shelters? Is the school not a viable alternative?
There's no power. We've got to get power, and back in the derecho, most of the school system they do not have air conditioning in the schools anyway. So you're going to have to provide a generator plus air conditioning You know, the schools would be a great place other than the Marlington Elementary School. Have we even asked the school board if we can use those? You know, I know we've used them in the past, but do we have something in writing? You know,
We don't have anything in writing, but they did express to me just a couple weeks ago that they are interested in being shelters, but as Herbie said, without some outside generator source, they're just not a viable thing other than in floods and things like that where the power may happen to still be on at some of those schools. And the commission prior asked me to get a quote on what it would cost to put a generator in the schools. We just did one school, Marlington Middle School. It's going to be over $100,000 to get a generator that powers that facility. So from that, through my office and some volunteers, we have been working with doing some just smaller shelters at the community centers, just various churches, places like that were interested in just being shelters and having more than a few, just having several small shelters. But again, we're running into the problem with those groups. Hey, we'd love to be a shelter, but we need money to buy a generator so we can be a shelter. And some of them have taken initiative and spent their own money to do that. But there are more than that that would love to help. They just don't have the funding to have a generator. And that's all they're asking for, is just that. So I agree that is something that I think that we need to look at, whether it be a line item or out of another place contingency fund that the county has or from this hotel motel money. It needs to be considered because that truly, as we've seen in the last 6 months here, affects everyone in this county. Whether you use a shelter or not, to actually stay in there, you go there to get water or go there to get information on what's going on or just any number of things. So it is a very important thing.
Difficult to come up with money to do all the worthwhile projects.
I understand that it's difficult, but everybody's asking for money, and we don't even have a committee on identifying shelters and what we may need. Do we need to have a committee to check with the Board of Education? Sean just said that we could, but do we have it in writing? What is it going to cost to power part of it? Can we power showers? I was lucky in maintaining water, and I had a camper that a generator would run during derecho, so I slept in a camper for 9 days. But for those 9 days, Sean, myself, and all the other volunteers in the county, you talk about volunteer hours. Come on out to the fire department and volunteer some hours. We were out night and day, providing anything from tree removal from the roadways to LZs for patients going out of the hospital. And not just the Marlington department, but all the departments in the county work their tails off to do that. But we've got to get some shelters. We've talked about it. Let's do it. And if it takes hotel motel tax to do it, that's what we need to do. There may be grants, but is anybody pursuing it?
This has become, I guess inherently is, more than a hotel motel tax discussion. This is necessarily a budgeting discussion as we're going to March too. So one thing that's become adamantly clear tonight is that there isn't enough hotel motel tax money. Revenues are going down. There's more needs. Gosh, I mean that's a real challenge.
We've talked about it in the past. I haven't talked to you, Dolan. You just came on board, but I've worked with David and Virginia in the past with things that and during those storms and emergencies, we need to see you guys out there too. We need to be able to know where you're at, so we can, if we have an issue that we have to take to the state level, we have to have a commissioner's approval. And I know where you live, but I'm busy doing other things, so you need to come to us.
The Rachel taught us a lot about that. Me personally, I accept a lot of fair blame for not being present in that mission.
I'm not here to blame anybody.
I understand, but it does cause me to personally to have learned the importance of exactly what you said. And I'm glad that from that the LEPC has been reformed.
And it's the same people in the LEPC that's doing the other stuff too. It's the same core group of people that's doing all this, but we've got to take that next step and get these shelters identified and do what it takes to power them so we can protect our community. That's what it's all about. Without the community, we're not going to need any of the arts council, any of the libraries, or anything like that. We've got to be able to operate. And, we were way behind during these two past storms.
Of course, in my opinion, the power company could do a better job, and we wouldn't be without power for 12 days, and that shouldn't happen.
I understand that, but it wasn't just Pocahontas County, West Virginia that was affected. It was the whole East Coast. And, the fire department could do better. The county commission could do better. We all could do better. But we've got to take that step because it's the weather system. It's a weather pattern that we're in. We've got strange storms. I've seen snow on the 31st of October, but I haven't seen that much snow. And I was stuck for 4 hours on Route 39 trying to get to work on my crew. I had to sit there for 4 hours until someone came along to change the thing out. We've got to protect our own people, and the shelters have got to become a priority for the commission. Please. And if that means that you need a committee to research that, I would be more than glad to do my part with that. But I think you as a commission needs to come up with that committee to get started. We can all work together with the groups. The observatory, they opened everything they had up there because they had some generator power. We've got a 60 kW generator from Arlington Firehouse. Got an 800 amp service that only serves part of it. We can go in there and take cold showers because our hot water heater wasn't hooked up to the generator. So we're going to have to go back and buy an 800 amp transfer switch so we can power the whole building, and that's going to be about $15,000 just for the switch. So, you talk power, you talk a lot of money, and I understand what you're saying, Nolan, as far as the fire company can do better. But we as a community have to protect each other. I think we need to think about that. And as far as the fire board, what they receive, the EMS and the hospital, that's the other part of the pie that, and we can't cut that. That's needed. We could use more. Replacement fire truck's $500,000. New set of turnout gear is $3,500 per person.
Where's all the money coming from?
I don't know, Don. I don't know. We try our best, but we as a whole, as first responders in this county, I've traveled throughout the state with my career, and we in Pocahontas County can compete with some of the pay departments in the bigger areas. I've seen that. We've got a great group of volunteer workers that do a service for this community that get their guts stomped out for the most part, for running up and down the roads with the lights on, driving too fast and things like that. But, we're just doing it to save property and lives. I think we need to make a step towards those shelters.
Well, with your experience from the shelters, and I know from just some of my scenes of what I seen from the ratio going on, there was a lot of people that needed supplies, but their ego or whatever was just too stubborn to come out and get it or ask for it.
Right.
But on the other hand, there was a lot of people that had electricity or had water or had food and was there eating every day and carrying cases of water out.
I know for a fact if you came to the Arlington Firehouse for water and you were on city water, you did not get a case of water from us. We weren't doing that. We were out delivering water in areas that didn't have it. And there needs to be a public information campaign through the newspaper or in the radio. People need to be prepared to take care of themselves for at least 72 hours. It may take me 72 hours to get food, but the way things are, we need to prepare for that, and we're not at this point. Sean's got some stuff coming in a couple of weeks as far as supply.
Yeah, we've got some supplies coming in just in a couple of weeks, but it's minimal supplies. And like Kirby said, the public needs to be prepared to take care of themselves instead of relying on the county to help them, first hour that the power goes out. That's, just can't always happen.
I lost everything I had at my house in the refrigerator freezer because I was out helping everybody else. You know, I was gone for the first 24 hours of this morning, helping other people. I was able to bring my chest freezer to the firehouse, plug it in until we had the fire there, but we ate what was in the freezer, feeding the first responders. So, you know, and I don't care about my stuff because that's the way I was raised. But, you know, we've got to do something for these shelters. And you know, I think it's up to you guys to support that. And, you know, you'll get help from other people once you get started.
And I think in fifth year on the job, this is the most challenging budgeting year I've seen. It's really hard.
Yeah, we have less money, more requests.
I understand, but if we don't take care of our people, who's going to request the money?
Well, of course, I had the same problem, or I solved my problem. I bought my own generator.
I understand. I've got one coming to me.
And there's a lot of us probably that solved that problem. And you're not going to have as many needing those shelters as there were past because
I don't mean to be disrespectful, but look at the elderly people we have in this community and the number of people that live off of the system. We're going to have the same amount of people. You know, the people that you're talking about that are taking care of themselves, that's what Jamie said, they're not going to come and ask. But we've got a core group of people in this community that we as workers and taxpayers paid in the state to house. That number increases every year. So, you know, I don't mean to be disrespectful and not agree with what you're saying. You know, we've got people that are living off the system, which the system is us every day, and that number is growing in this community.
Fort County government can't fund everything, every request. It's difficult. I'm not going to get into it.
I just wanted to throw that. I just wanted to throw that out there. And the fire department